Now, let me start my talk on slavery of the soul. This particular Shabad, which you heard right now, this is how the soul is requesting the mind to do such a renunciation to all these things so that you can get that spiritual essence within you, so that you can liberate your soul from that slavery. Now, this is how the soul is, with love, is trying to explain the mind. It is making the mind as friendly so that it does that kind of a renunciation for its, to really leave that slavery of the soul. Because the mind and body together, they make the soul as a slave. And how they do it, all of you have got that experience. I think everybody knows that how at times the mind and body together, they will make your soul as a slave. And most of the time, the soul is being used by mind and body, because mind doesn't have its own energy, the body doesn't have its own energy. Both of them thrive on the energy of the soul. So now, most of the time, these traits of the body, which I explain, is hunger, clothes, housing, vanities of the world, sex, and sleep. These attributes of the body will keep on using the soul to work for that, to organize for things, which the body needs. And the soul, poor soul, keeps on working for it. And then the mind comes in, and further the mind starts ruling the soul. Then, because if it is hunger, then the mind is talking about the greed for that hunger. And now the mind starts using your soul for that greed, And that's how all those traits of the mind, like lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears, and worries, you have heard many times. And then body, hunger, clothes, housing, vanities of the world, sex, and sleep. Permutations and combinations of all these traits, they are heavy on the soul, because soul is working. And such a phantom soul, which is part of the absolute, is trapped here because the mind is ignorant. The beauty is that the mind is settling the karma part of it. And now the guru comes and tells you how to really, to remove the slavery of the soul and how to do that. But it has to be done with love. So this particular Shabad, where the soul is requesting the mind to really do such a renunciation so that it can release itself from those clutches of the body and mind. Now, something very important here to understand. Since the soul is so powerful, it has created mind. Rather, it has acquired the mind, created the body. It's so fathom, and still it is stuck up there because the soul knows this, that this human body is very rare and it has got a lot of patience, because patience is the attribute of the soul. So it keeps on having that patience and keeps on going ahead with body and mind because it is settling the karma. The mind is involved into karma and the body and mind together are suffering, but the feelings are, the sensor is your soul. That is what is sensing. So the soul really looks for that opportunity with love. It can handle the mind and it can convince the mind to come along to come along with love, so that, because it knows this body is very rare. Now the soul been waiting, as Michael was telling right now, 8.4 million species. The soul been waiting for this opportunity of the human body. So the soul is having that patience. It has got humility in it. So it is trying to adjust with body and mind. Please come along. Please. And every time the mind does not understand. So what really happens? It is only the education of the mind which can tell him. And who can give the education? It is a teacher, it is the master, it is the guru. So guru comes and tells you and takes you out of the slavery which you've been doing it at the hands of body and mind. So how body and mind have kept you as a slave. So please understand this, that how saints come from the abode where they are so happy. They don't come for themselves. They come for us, for the suffering soul, because they can see that soul is suffering, because soul is a sensor of all the senses in the body. And the saints can see it because they love you, because God is love. And to love it became from one to many. But you decided through your free will to come here in this time-bound material creation. So it allowed you, because you're part of Him. But once the saints see that the soul is suffering, day and night it is suffering and not knowing. And in between is the modem, which is the mind, So mind is there, and mind needs to be educated. A teacher or a guru or a master is needed here to take you out of that slavery. So now this is what the saints see their own loved ones trapped into mind and body and working as a slave here. So now please remember, this is what the gurus have done. They tell you all those details, that how body needs, as I told you, if you can really put it on a piece of paper, that hunger, clothes, housing, vanities of the world, sex and sleep. And then lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears and worries. If you do permutations and combinations by crossing them and multiplying how many they are, so each one will, get connected to the other one, all those attributes, and this is how it will keep on multiplying all your life. And you will always be busy in paying off your karmas. Now, how nicely the masters tell you that if you give attention to the mind, you are in a trap of karma. And how simply they take you out, as if there is a hair in the butter. They simply take you out without any problems, just by telling you one thing. And that one thing is, Rabda ki pauna edro putna te edar lamna. It is so easy that you delink your attention. As soon as you withdraw your attention from the mind, and then the master tells you how to withdraw it from this body and mind, physical body, physical mind. Then he tells you how to do it in the astral body and the astral mind. And as soon as you withdraw your attention, the karmas don't have any effect on you, my dear. You become so happy. You become those, Hans, they call it. Hans and Buns, Ishwar Puriji explained about them. So this is how, knowing all this, it is a simple thing by the master, that just don't give attention to your mind and learn how to ignore the mind. As soon as you ignore, you are a happy person. You are connected. Then you are in love with your master, because he loves you. And just for that love, He took a body and came here on this earth during the period when you were there. Look at the basic thing, to collect all the sheeps together. He comes, takes a body, suffers in this body. He takes over all our karmas, He has got the ability to go through those pains and pleasures. It can de-link itself. So my mother used to tell me that every night she has to suffer because she has been initiating people, and all those people have got lots of karmas. Now the master manages it through the night. And she says that this is how I have to suffer for all that. Because they can't tell the disciples. But I, being close to her, sometimes I could see that she is not feeling well. I'll ask her. She'll tell me, all the night I've been doing the work of the karmas of my disciples. So they work for you. So now, how really you can get out of that slavery is again a part which you must understand, that how you can do that. How that this renunciation has to be there. That how really the master tells you to really, ignore the mind. As soon as you ignore the mind, you are in that beautiful area. Ishwar Puriji tells you that you sit there at the 6th floor and you make your own room. You have not to pay for the furniture there. Make a beautiful room there. And as you come in that region, so you can watch. What he tells you, that you can see that. Now he helps you to come out of that, and he tells you how to ignore the mind. So ignoring the mind is so good, Now, there is one line which I would like to say, that now, एक ने कही दूजे ने मानी, नानक कहे दोनों ज्ञानी. So he says, if someone tells you something good, then if you agree to that, if someone says, and then you agree, you agree with him and accept that, then what really happens? That you and the other fellow gets wiser. But I say that two of us who've been fighting and somebody tells me some good things, so I agree. So even the other two who are listening will also get jnani. So that is what happens. कि एक ने कही दूसरे ने मानी, नानक कहे दोनों ज्ञानी. I'll say चारों ज्ञानी. All the four are wise men because they listen to each other. So now the request of the soul, if the mind agrees to do that renunciation through that process by ignoring the mind, you are at the best of your life. Because this is what it tells you. Every day you just withdraw your attention and be at that level. Keep on watching, keep on ignoring the mind. Because your soul is a single sensor of all the senses, my dear. So the soul suffers because it is here with you. And it keeps on having that patience. Why it has got that patience? 8.4 million species you have crossed through. And now the human body has come. So it takes that pain to remain here so that the mind agrees. Without mind agreeing with you, things will not happen, my dear. You will have to convince the mind. So how we can convince the mind? Through satsang. Michael is doing a great job that every time he talks so nicely, he remembers all those stories so well, He keeps it handy for you. Every time he tells you a story on that. It is beautiful, I have talked enough today, and it is really wonderful. And I would like to appreciate Prempalji also, and Visheshji also, Rohit also. Everybody speaks so well. and all those beautiful songs are there. So everybody enjoys this. And here in this group of more than 44 today, everybody helps each other. And what we are doing, one is saying, the other one is listening and agreeing to that. So what is happening if two are listening? Say, for example, I am speaking and Michael is listening. So we are understanding. But what is happening here? 44 people are listening. So all of us are getting, emancipated. So it is such a beautiful group. And I really appreciate the kind of work we are doing here. It is great. And thank you, Michael. I had explained my points. Somebody needs some, he can always write to me separately on my WhatsApp. Thank you very much. So kind of
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Sean, for
That's
always giving us the treasure house of beautiful.